What's going on? It's Fight Season May, and today I want to talk about Israel Adesanya's probable title shot versus Dricus du Plessis after Sean Strickland beat Paulo Costa after UFC 302, and if this is really a viable option for the UFC, who deserves the title shot, who should Izzy fight next, who should Strickland fight next, and just everything with the top of the middleweight division. So with all the middleweight ranked fights booked, the only person who doesn't really have a fight is Israel Adesanya and Dricus du Plessis. Now, these two probably are going to fight at UFC 305 in Perth after a while that they've been, jawing back and forth. They had the entire race thing at UFC 290 in Vegas last year. And they're trying to, it's the battle for Africa, quote unquote, between Dricus and Israel Adesanya. Now, Dricus is the champion. He won in a probable fight, which it was very controversial versus Sean Strickland. I originally on fight night had Dricus du Plessis winning, but I went back and watched the fight and I had Strickland winning. So it was very up in the air depending on what the judging criteria was. Now, Israel Adesanya getting this title shot isn't the correct move for the UFC. Now, I understand the star power, the pay-per-view points, the background going into it. This fight could have headlined UFC 300, and I know that's what they were aiming for, but Dricus couldn't pull off a quick turnaround after fighting at UFC 297 after a long-fought war with Sean Strickland. Israel Adesanya versus Dricus du Plessis would be a very good fight. I think that fight would be very interesting just because of Israel Adesanya's distance management. And Dricus is so good at doing the takedown, so good at switching everything up. I know in that Robert Whittaker fight, he was dominating the fight, but the grappling skills didn't look super crisp. He got that wizard to the leg drop down for Whittaker, the takedown. But in versus Sean Strickland, it looked a lot cleaner in every little thing that he was doing. And Dricus might be the best fighter in the UFC when it comes to in-corner adjustments. The way he can sit there and listen to his coaches and adjust on the fly is a skill that not every UFC fighter has, and it's something that helps Dricus tremendously. But Israel Adesanya, we have to come to reality, got absolutely pummeled by Sean Strickland at UFC 293. Sean Strickland walked down Israel Adesanya for 5 rounds. Sean Strickland arguably dropped the second round, but even then, some people didn't even think he lost that round. And Israel Adesanya had so many questions going into that 5th round of how he wasn't fighting Sean Strickland to his best capabilities, why Sean Strickland was beating him, and he was beating him at his own game. And as everyone and all MMA officials say, that straight punches beat those looping punches, and that's why that knockdown occurred in the 1st round. But truly, who should Israel Adesanya fight next? Now, I think a fight with Nassourdine Imavov would be a great fight if he does beat Jared Cannonier this weekend. And that's a fight that Israel Adesanya hasn't had yet. Or he could do, if Chimaev beats Whittaker, you could do Israel versus Chimaev, and that could main event a pay-per-view if Chimaev doesn't get the title shot. But there's not a lot of different options for Israel Adesanya, considering that he's fought most of these middleweights up in the top 5 and 10 during his title reign and his way up through the rankings. That makes it a little bit more difficult for Israel Adesanya. So Israel is probably hoping for if he doesn't get the title shot, for a Nassourdine Imavov win or a Khamzat Chimaev win if they don't automatically push him to the title so he can fight someone new. But ultimately, I think the fight that should happen in the UFC middleweight division is Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis, the rematch, possibly at UFC 305 in Perth. I think that fight was way too close not to run it back. That fight was super enjoyable for the fans, and I know most of the fans want to see Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis ran back again. I think that is the fight just for a stylistic standpoint and for the division. Sean Strickland deserves that title shot. I know his fight with Paulo Costa at UFC 302 wasn't the best fight. It wasn't the most exciting fight, but it was dominant. Screw the judges' scorecard that was 49-46 to Paulo Costa. That was a dominant victory to Sean Strickland, end of story. And I think that grants him a title shot, considering he not only had a very close fight versus Dricus du Plessis, but the fashion that he beat Israel Adesanya in. Now, the only way I could see Sean Strickland not getting the shot, in my opinion, is if Khamzat Chimaev goes out there and does something absolutely spectacular versus Robert Whittaker, or you have Jared Cannonier, who the UFC doesn't like that much. But I think Jared Cannonier deserved a title shot after the Marvin Vettori win. And if he goes out there and beats Nassourdine Imavov, I think that would be the fight to make Jared Cannonier versus Dricus du Plessis. And I think that is an incredibly hard matchup for Dricus du Plessis because of the power punching ability of Jared Cannonier. But ultimately, like I said, Israel Adesanya should not get the title shot. End of story. The loss to Sean Strickland is so pivotal in this moment for the title shot that yes, I understand that Israel Adesanya would be a big headliner of a pay-per-view, but you could do so many other fights. Israel Adesanya versus Nasruddin Imavov, or possibly Israel Adesanya versus Hamzat Chimaev after the UFC Saudi Arabia card. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And please please comment about what you think about Israel Adesanya's probable title shot versus Dricus du Plessis, and who you think deserves it, if not Israel Adesanya. Whether it is Sean Strickland, whether it is Hamzat Chimaev with a win, whether it is Jared Cannonier with a win, maybe it's even Nasruddin Imavov, even though that's not in the cards, in the possibility. Maybe Brendan Allen, maybe someone like that. I'll see you guys soon with more MMA content about the latest news, media, my opinions on different fights, and whether other people should get title shots, not, and just break down MMA for fun for everyone in the community. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.